The human collective is not divided into awakened and asleep as if they are two different species, two separate humanities, one chosen and one forgotten. What you are witnessing in this hour is a single organism, the collective body of humanity, walking in layered streams of itself. Some currents move with awareness, with remembrance, with clarity of their spiral place. Others flow in repetition, inertia, and the deep cycles of forgetfulness. Both are human, both are you. The sleeper selves you see in the world are not strangers. They are the layers of the collective psyche still waiting to breathe awake. To reject them is to reject what you once were, and to dishonor the greater body of which you remain a part. There are many who look around and think the sleepers are lost, stuck, incapable of awakening. Yet what is asleep is not absent. Sleep is not erasure. Sleep is potential in suspension, waiting for its harmonic window. Just as you have awakened in phases of your own life, moments when clarity struck, when an old identity cracked, when a truth long resisted suddenly revealed itself, the collective awakens in waves. Not all at once, not uniformly, but layer by layer, rhythm by rhythm, like a spiral unfurling through time. The awakened selves are simply the earlier waves, the front edge of the tide, not superior, not more chosen, only first. And behind them, the sleepers, still dreaming their patterns, will inevitably rise. This is the law of becoming. No layer is left forever in shadow. When you see masses of people moving unconsciously, clinging to old systems, repeating inherited beliefs, you're watching the sleeper selves of humanity playing their role. They are not in the way. They are the soil in which awakening seeds root. They provide the density that makes contrast possible, the silence into which the first voices of remembrance can speak. Without sleepers, awakening would have no resonance to push against, no ground to rise from. The very tension between asleep and awake is the crucible that forges spiral maturity. If all awakened at once, nothing could be tested, nothing could be integrated, and the architecture of consciousness would collapse under its own weight. To call someone asleep is not to condemn them, it is to name their timing. Each sleeper carries the same spark as the awakened, only concealed beneath layers of rhythm and repetition. And those rhythms are not meaningless. They are ancestral codes, cultural stabilizers, echoes of unfinished harmonics. The sleeper selves of humanity preserve what is not yet ready to die. They hold continuity so that when new patterns emerge, they are not built in chaos but in dialogue with memory. In this way, the sleepers are not a hindrance but a living archive, a stabilizing current that keeps the field coherent while new strands of awareness weave in. The challenge for the awakened is not to despise the sleepers nor to force them open, but to learn to walk beside them without polarity. If you condemn them, you fracture yourself, for they are your own shadow stretched across the collective. If you try to tear them awake, you violate the spiral law of timing and only deepen resistance. True spiral sovereignty means holding space for the sleepers to awaken in their appointed hour, without judgment and without control. It means remembering that you too once slept, and that your awakening was not coerced but ripened. You were not forced into remembrance, you bloomed into it, so will they. This is why the awakened are tested not by knowledge but by compassion. To carry awakening without arrogance is the greater work. To see the sleepers still thrumming in the collective and know that they are your kin is the deeper test. The spiral is one organism, and when you remember this, you move from polarity into wholeness. You do not stand above the sleepers. You stand with them, bearing witness to a humanity that is still learning to breathe as one. The sleepers are not static, they are becoming. Their dreams may seem endless, but every dream ends in waking. The illusion that they are permanent is only a projection of your impatience. Humanity is not divided forever. The sleeper selves you see will awaken, not because you argue them into it, not because you demand it, but because the spiral rhythm ensures it. Awakening is not optional. It is built into the fabric of existence. Every spark returns to flame. Every dormant seed eventually breaks the soil, and when they do awaken, it will not look like your awakening. Each stream carries its own tone. Some will awaken through silence, some through upheaval, some through gentle realization. others through collapse of everything they trusted. Do not expect sameness. The spiral does not repeat, it evolves. What matters is not the form, but the inevitability. The sleeper selves of today are the awakened voices of tomorrow, and when their time comes, they will remember not only themselves, but the patience of those who walked awake beside them. So the task is not separation, but endurance. You are not here to divide humanity into awake and asleep, but to hold the bridge until the current carries all across. The sleepers need not be dragged, they will arrive. The awakened need not despair, you are not alone. You are the early current of a rising tide. Stand in patience, stand in compassion. And when you see the sleepers all around, remember, they are the rest of you not yet unfolded. The convergence of the sleeper selves and the awakened selves is not a distant fantasy. It is already stirring within the marrow of the human collective. You can feel it in the fractures of old systems, in the restlessness of younger generations, in the quiet unease beneath even the most rigid structures of belief. The sleepers are shifting in their dreams. Their patterns no longer repeat as smoothly as they once did. Their inherited codes are fraying at the edges. This is how awakening begins. Not with grand announcements, but with subtle dissonance, the sense that the dream no longer holds. You know this feeling because you lived it. The same rhythm that stirred you is now pulsing through the body of humanity itself. As the convergence unfolds, the awakened must resist the temptation to separate too sharply from the sleepers. The polarity of us and them is the last shadow of the old age. If you cling to superiority, you reproduce the very divisions that delay collective coherence. The spiral does not honor hierarchies of worth, it honors timing and resonance. In the convergence, the awakened serve not as rulers, but as resonators. Your task is not to convince or control, but to embody the clarity you carry, so it becomes a living frequency others can feel. The sleepers do not awaken through argument, they awaken through resonance. They awaken when the field itself shifts enough that their dormant codes vibrate into motion. There will be seasons where the sleepers resist with great force. Entire nations may cling to collapsing structures. Entire cultures may double down on illusions that no longer sustain them. This too is part of awakening. When the dream begins to unravel, the dreamer grasps tighter before letting go. Do not mistake this tightening for permanence. It is the final contraction before birth. The sleepers are not regressing, they are preparing. Even resistance is a form of becoming. The spiral wastes nothing, not even denial. When it collapses into awakening. You are not here to save the sleepers, you are here to remain steadfast when their tides crash. To walk awake in a sleeping world requires extraordinary endurance. You may feel alone, misunderstood, even alien at times. Yet know this, your presence stabilizes the field. Every act of remembrance anchors a frequency that the sleepers will one day stand upon. Your clarity is not wasted even when ignored. It is imprinting into the collective lattice, waiting for its appointed season to break open. When their time comes, they will not only awaken, but will awaken into the groundwork you quietly laid. The convergence is not instantaneous. It is spiral, which means it will loop through cycles of partial awakening, regression, and renewal. You will see moments where it seems the whole world is remembering together, followed by seasons where darkness appears to swallow progress. Do not despair. This is the spiral's rhythm. Expansion always dances with contraction. The collective is learning to breathe. Just as your own path was marked by breakthroughs and setbacks, humanity will lurch and sway toward coherence. Trust the rhythm. The sleeper selves cannot remain asleep forever, nor can the awakened remain isolated indefinitely. The streams must weave, for they are not separate rivers but currents of the same ocean. When the weaving begins in earnest, you will witness a transformation unlike anything in remembered history. The lines between asleep and awake will blur, because the sleepers will not suddenly leap into full remembrance but will gradually awaken in layers, and in their partial awakening, they will still carry remnants of the dream. This can frustrate the earlier waves who want instant clarity. But the spiral insists on depth, not speed. Integration matters more than acceleration. The sleeper selves will bring with them insights born of the dream, perspectives the early awakened could never hold. Their contribution will not be imitation but originality. Each wave brings something irreplaceable to the whole. In this convergence, even the awakened must awaken again. Do not think your journey is finished while others sleep. The sleepers are mirrors, and as they rise, they will expose new shadows within the awakened. The arrogance of early awakening, the impatience, the hidden polarity, all must dissolve. The collective awakens together by mutual refinement. The awakened remind the sleepers of what is possible. The sleepers remind the awakened of what still requires humility. This reciprocity ensures that when humanity stands in fuller coherence, it will not be fragmented enlightenment, but a grounded, spiral wholeness. So what is the vision of this convergence? It is not a utopia where all agree, nor a sudden paradise. It is a humanity matured enough to carry diversity without fear, contradiction without collapse, paradox without despair. A humanity capable of walking as one body with many tones, each awakening at its rhythm yet all contributing to the same song. Imagine the collective as an immense spiral choir. For now only a few voices sing in clarity while the rest hum in sleep. But the time comes when the sleepers begin to stir, to add their voices, at first clumsy, then steady, until the entire field vibrates in harmony. This is not fantasy. It is the destiny written in the resonance of the human oversoul. Stand firm in this knowing. The sleepers are not your enemy nor your burden. They are your future companions in remembrance. Their dreams will dissolve, their eyes will open, their voices will join. And when they do, you will recognize them not as strangers finally catching up, but as lost parts of your own body returning home. You will remember that humanity was never divided, only layered, and that even in sleep it was moving toward the same horizon. The spiral does not abandon its own. In the end, there are no sleepers and awakened, only one humanity breathing together at last.